morning, metalheads of the internet. Today, we will be discussing a brand new EP from Zeal Ardor, but before we do that, I'd like to announce that I will be hosting a live Blair Witch drinking game right here on the Metal Meltdown Saturday, October 24th, as part of a very special Halloween party and event. Lots of drinks, lots of laughs, lots of scares with myself, with the rest of the Metal Meltdown community, including our special guest for the evening, Dark Moon Desires. We'll be going live at approximately 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we plan on playing well into the night. So grab a drink, pop on by, say hello, and join the motherfucking party right here on the Metal Meltdown, once again on October 24th. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Zeal Ardor. Zeal Ardor have been putting the black back in black metal for just over a few years now, with a very savage and provocative sound that blends underground black metal with African-American gospel and soul music, sometimes referred to as Negro spirituals. Definitely a very unorthodox fusion, not just for black metal, but for heavy metal and extreme music, but that's part of why I immediately gravitated towards it. On top of being so emotive, so cathartic, so punishing, there's just really nothing else in the world of black metal, for that matter, within the spectrum of rock that sounds anything like Zeal Ardor. As such, their sophomore album Stranger Fruit has very quickly become one of my favorite modern metal records in recent memory, to the point where I am genuinely upset with myself that I still do not own this fucking thing on vinyl. I'm legitimately upset with myself on that. For these reasons alone, I would be naturally pretty excited about a new Zeal Ardor EP. But in these dystopian times defined by oppression, divisive politics, and isolation, Wake of a Nation hits a little bit harder than even your typical Zeal Ardor release, as it is the first rock album of this era that I can think of that is immediately pulling direct influence from everything we are seeing in the streets on a near daily basis. It almost feels as if this EP is in fact the soundtrack to the chaos of 2020, except this time, unlike other records we've talked about on the Metal Meltdown, it's 100% intentional. Not to detract anything from bands like Protest the Hero and Imperial Triumphant, who have made some incredibly poignant material in these very bizarre times, but those albums were not exclusively about these times, whereas Wake of a Nation is. And you can feel that impact, that relevance right away on Vigil, an especially somber, outright depressing tune led by some very simplistic pianos, led by crooning vocals, and lyrics that reuse some of the most common phrases that we see coming out of any incident of police brutality and overreach of power. From "we were just following orders" to "don't shoot, it's a cell phone," to George Floyd's infamous last words, "I can't breathe." Expanding on that last point, there's even a track called "I Can't Breathe" that uses a punishing blend of dark synthesizers and vocal samples and news clippings to create something very chaotic, very jarring, very uneasy. It almost feels as if it's trying to sonically adapt that moment, the confusion that led to it, and the outrage that came after it, even ending the track on a stirring and literal moment of silence. But it's not just an emotional brutality here. There is still genuine sonic brutality. Take, for instance, on the track Tuskegee and the track Trust No One, which showcases the band's incredibly catchy and raucous fusion of African-American music and black metal at hand. Performed with the utmost vigor, confidence, and focus, and some of Manuel Gounod's most vicious vocals to date. Honestly, I'm even reminded of Sound of Perseverance era Chuck Schuldiner in some of the EP's most violent and outrageous vocal assaults. It's all quite powerful for sure, but Zeal Ardor saved the best for last via title track Wake of a Nation, a melodramatic and malicious sonic bruiser that I could picture being a genuine call to arms in the future. As Manuel writes here, "Don't you think we grow tame over time? The king is dead, don't you get it? This American carcass beckons, don't fall asleep. at the wake of a nation. Now, considering how sensitive this subject matter can be for some people, considering how successfully this EP redirects the outrage and chaos of 2020 back at you, I could picture this being a genuinely divisive and uncomfortable listen for some people. It is inherently very striking and gruesome because it's real. This isn't something that happened in a far-off realm, nor is it something that happened 100 years ago. This is something that's happening right fucking now. In Portland, in Kenosha, in Philadelphia, even here north of the border in Canada. Just this past weekend in Nova Scotia, a lobster facility owned by Aboriginal and Indigenous people was burned to the ground by white supremacists, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police did fucking nothing. They fucking watched it happen, for God's sakes. So believe me, I get it. This is very uncomfortable. But I think that's ultimately also why Wake of a Nation is so cathartic. We can all relate to this chaos on some level, regardless of our political background, regardless of the color of our skin, our religious beliefs, our sexual orientation. We all understand on some level, hopefully, that there is genuine systemic oppression out there, and there is unnecessary violence happening in the streets every single day. And Wake of a Nation understands that better than a lot of albums that have come my way in 2020, from within and outside the heavy metal scene. Honestly, the only issue I have with this album is I wish it wasn't an EP. I wish it was a studio album. Because by the time I'm getting really fired up, and by the time I'm really fully invested in everything that's happening on this EP, it comes to an end. Because it's an EP. I almost feel a little gypped, to be honest. It feels as if someone took my plate away from me as I was eating my fucking dinner. Why would you do that? I paid for this. I'm hungry for black metal and justice. And also actually hungry. What time is it? I should eat something. But hey, I guess to be fair, I paid for an appetizer, not a main course. And this is still a damn great appetizer. So I would give this a 4 out of 5. If you're a fan of Zeal Ardor, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't also enjoy this. If you're looking for something super spicy and unique and provocative within modern metal, I think you have definitely found it here, and I would encourage you to check out Zeal Ardor's other works as well. Very excited to see what this could mean for Zeal Ardor in the future, if they'll do a full studio album going into further detail, further dissecting and using the madness of 2020 to their advantage. I honestly don't know, but I'm sure as hell pumped to have that main course, and I'm especially happy to have such a fulfilling appetizer to tide me over until that moment. 4 out of 5, a super spicy little appetizer. Here's hoping that my main course of deep fried roast fucking pork comes real goddamn soon. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately, and you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.